Good evening and welcome to this week's edition of Gaelic Weekly Live. Tonight we're joined by former All-Ireland and Tyrone winner Packie McConnell, and we'll be looking back at the two semi-finals and ahead to the final between Dublin and Tyrone. Pascal, welcome to the show.
Thanks for welcoming us.
Good to have you in.
Good to be here.
Well, you wanted Finbar here, like you wanted him on board, but he settled for you, he said.
Yes, we favourites already.
Long
time favourite Finbar.
You think of the things I looked after this man was the cricket panel. That's
the thanks you get.
That's the thanks.
See, what it actually was, don't know if you remember this, but I've always had this gripe against you. I thought there's no better time to air it now, but I think it was 2008, we were playing Dublin, maybe in 07, we were playing Dublin in a National League game under lights. And it was the first National League game of the year, and I thought it'd been going well. And we went down to train in Croke Park on the Wednesday night under lights. We played an in-house game, and I had a penalty that night, and Big Packie saved it. And I never got a minute on the Saturday night, so I'm blaming.
Sorry to tell you, big man, it must be the only penalty escape in my career now.
Into the hill, missed the penalty into the hill.
As Desi Dolan says, was it a good hit for the keeper along the ground?
Yeah, exactly.
Crazy stuff. Pascal, you're working away in that, but you're not playing anymore, you were saying?
No, the playing days are over. It's long and truly over now. Enjoying watching the game thoroughly now. You know, you get so much out of watching the game, pressure's off, you know, you can really absorb the occasion a lot more, I think, you know, watching on. So, well, on the final, definitely the occasion to be savoured, it's good to be there.
Brilliant, hey? We'll chat more about you and your career in a while. Jib Wiley, good to have you back as well.
Come on now, how do you well?
Well, I was going to say, how do you not be well?
And the head sore,
heads wouldn't be good now, it's been better.
I'm not Tyrone now.
But sure, it's like this the odd Monday.
It's not always to come around like this, you know.
I'm just looking, we're completely outnumbered here. It's 3.
Yeah, I was Tyrone boys used to having sore heads, you know, in All-Ireland semi-final days and final days.
We are,
but it's been a while, Jib.
Yeah, 10 years, it's been too long, like, in fairness, but no, it was massive credit to them yesterday.
It was good.
Chatting Peter Donnelly earlier this morning, just cloud nine, like, you know. So.
Plenty of time to prepare now. Jib, what's the social media question for the week?
Yeah, social media question today is: have Tyrone ended Malachy O'Rourke's reign with Monaghan? What do you reckon?
Good question.
I think I chatted a lot of Monaghan boys last night, and they were telling me he's another year left on now. They think he will stay on now, but who knows what he'll do.
You just hope that he takes time, and time can be a healer. You know, he doesn't rush into a decision the next week or fortnight or that, and take stock of everything. Because I mean, they're a good year.
So you can see it. They're only 1 point. You know.
Yeah, that's it. Like, and you know, Malachy's a success wherever he's went, and you just hope that it's not a knee-jerk reaction if he does decide to step down. But
I think he's the longest serving manager from outside of his county, you know, to be managing somebody else. So I mean, like, he may well want to break Pascal.
Certainly, I suppose, you know, the way the rigours, I suppose the how committed you have to be, you know, and we'll talk about the commitment from the players, but also when you look at the managers as well in the back, of course, his backroom team and that there, like, you know, the preparation goes into games now. No stones left unturned, like. And Malachy's brought great success to Monaghan, brought a real steeliness about Monaghan. As they were just discussion earlier there about Monaghan days in the past, you know, when it was neck and neck in games, I'd have found again Monaghan always had that tendency to blink first. Whereas this Monaghan team, there's a steeliness about them now, that they're going to sit with you, they're going to see it out, you're in a real battle. And Malachy certainly has brought a lot of that to the Monaghan team. And they're a great team to watch as well.
Yeah.
He's brought a lot of fantastic football to the camp as well.
Okay, well, I suppose, yeah.
You just wonder, like, maybe there's, like, we chatted about how bad Monaghan ones are taking it. They might have a sense of injustice that, you know, Malachy alluded to some of the refereeing decisions and the amount of injury time, that there was only 3 minutes. Plus, you know, I watched the game back today, like, it was a great finish of Niall Sludden, but Tyrone's goal come out of absolutely nothing. You know, Tyrone McCann went in. I mean, I think it's Drew Wiley or Ryan Wiley makes a brilliant block on it, and it just comes across to Niall Sludden, who puts it away well. So it's just them thin lines, like. So, you know, maybe when Monaghan sit down and look at it, it might be that drive that they need to maybe give it one more real good crack again, because they're obviously, as they've shown the year, they're at the top table, and you know, they're not far away.
No. Well, look, we get the thoughts of the folks at home and see what they think about that. Obviously, I suppose with Monaghan there will be a few. You'd imagine possibly like Corey and Desi Moan. You know, they may be calling it a day.
See, and then I suppose is what's coming through. Maybe the Malachy can add to the panel. They've had a good minor team this year, which is under 17. So you'd be looking at maybe their under 20 team and that. And is there maybe 4 or 5 players that he thinks can add value to what he already has? Because if you lose Vinny and Desi Moan, who's seen a lot of minutes the year, is there going to be that quality player to replace them? So I suppose that's for him to answer.
There's a nice blend of experience and youth in that Monaghan setup at the moment. And you know, when the older players are very dependent on the young lads is coming through again for that renewed energy and things like that, and also the younger guys looking up to the experienced fellas for that leadership and guidance as well. So I suppose Vinny and them boys, Desi will ask big questions. Obviously there's the pre-season work that has to go on, things like that there to get ready for the new season next year and all that there, like as the body feeling up to it, because they've put in loads years of service, like it's a testament to great careers.
And still young boys, next Conor McArthur, she's only what, 21, 20 years of age.
Like there's them boys from Monaghan, you know, even the likes of Fintan Kelly, who would be younger than them boys, they owe Monaghan absolutely nothing. Like the ride that they've given this past 5 or 6 years to the supporters. But looking back on the game today again, you just have to wonder if Kieran Hughes had been introduced
a bit earlier,
because he caused some havoc when he went in at full forward. You know, I think he had 2 points. He'd won a free for Manzi, very nearly won another free at the end. So you just maybe Tyrone just didn't seem to know how to handle. McKiernan was on him for a while, then Rory Brennan, and you know, Tyrone were really worried about him. Like,
well, yeah, I suppose just going on to that. Look, we'll not hang about. We will cover the game 1-13-15. I suppose, you know, Tyrone seen it through, but yeah, again, Tyrone's forward line, you know, at least 50% of them probably not firing on all cylinders of the starting line. Is that fair to say? Negative start, perhaps, but you know.
No, I would like, you look at the stats. Certainly, you know, I think Tyrone's, I think it was something like they were about 45% in their shooting accuracy. Like, make no bones about it. If you're going to beat Dublin, you're going to have to be up in the 70-75%. So certainly, whichever team won that yesterday, that accuracy rate isn't going to be good enough in 3 weeks' time. But the thing is, you know, Tyrone will have 3 weeks now to sit down and try and figure that out. Like, you know, Pascal, like, no one's better than Mickey at dissecting the game, and you know, and I've, like, leading into the game on Sunday there, I never for once thought Tyrone was going to be beat, because to me, like, when Monaghan beat Tyrone early in the year, there's no one better in the business at looking at a game and looking at why they didn't win and making sure when you meet them again that they do. Like, I think in Mickey's record, all the time he's been over Tyrone seniors, he's only lost maybe 2 replays. So that shows the calibre that he is at dissecting games and tailoring his game plan. So, you know, the
finer details and Mickey looks into, you
unbelievable.
Know, it's the depths goes on in terms of, you know, every player gets looked over, every player gets examined. Where's their strengths, where's their weaknesses, and their direct opponent, whatever Tyrone player that may be, it will be highlighted to them. They'll go over it. They'll really study every player so closely. Again, you know, that's, you know, the level of things are at now, and you know, the technology that's available now as well. And you know, Mickey's phenomenal the way he can really break games down, break players down. Look at what the strengths the teams have and stuff like that. And Dublin will be no different. Of course, we know how great this Dublin team is. Dublin are, you know, raging hot favourites, and that'll suit Mickey to the ground. You know, Tyrone are going into this game, many people go with nothing to lose. Mickey never thinks that way. Mickey's a winner. Mickey is a winner. He's, you know, if he was to, you know, any aspect of sport that he would be interested in or plays or puts his hand to, he is just a winner. Even when we were going away in team one weekends and our training weekends, say he was playing golf, Mickey was intense. He had to win that golf, you know, game, and you know, that's the type of man he is. And you know, Mickey won't be thinking of just going down and thinking about moral victories if we come close to Dublin and stuff like that. They're in an all-Ireland final. Mickey will think nothing but winning.
But it's probably easier to forget past. I suppose you looked at 08. You know, Kerry are red hot favourites. You know, people are saying like, how are they going to cope? with not alone the twin towers but everything else around it, and like I mean that was a master plan.
Yeah, you know, Mickey. The one thing with Mickey, he's always an ace up his sleeve as well, and you know, especially with the tact of bringing Joe McMahon back from half forward to curtail Walsh, and obviously Justin McMahon was picking up Kieran Donaghy, and like absolute masterstroke. Also thinking back to 03 as well, moving Cormac McConnell to full back, also was an astute, you know, move as well, and it paid off, paid dividends, and really, you know, kept everything very solid in that position from the back out, and that was the foundations which victories were built upon.
Yeah, I think that was again to the point. I think, wasn't it after the down, the first day of the Ulster final, that he moved Cormac back for the replay then, like, you know, so that's Mickey's ability. Like Mickey can see things that in a player that other people very rarely see. Like, you know, we're all about Dublin there and their strengths and that. Mickey will know some players' strengths better than the players from Dublin will know them themselves. You know, we'll have them dissected that much, like, and you know, like Mickey would have the work started yesterday evening on Dublin, you know, on his matchups.
What did we make of the refereeing performance? And there's obviously it's getting highlighted a lot, but I feel it's getting highlighted just by Monaghan folk naturally, but I don't find too many neutrals, bar Marty O'Brien, he's not here tonight, giving off. But what
I can understand the injury time.
I can definitely understand.
You had 5-6 subs and you're meant to be 20-30 seconds a sub alone, and Peter Hart was down for a couple of minutes.
That down the Sunday game last night, and it didn't seem too far off the mark.
Well, I thought Peter Hart was down for a good 2-3 minutes.
But the point in the Peter Hart being down was that there was two or three substitutions made, but in the time he was down.
Yeah, but I you know, if it's 2 minutes he's down for a head injury or whatever it is, well, there's 2 minutes right away, and then, you know, and I'm not saying it worked in our favour yesterday, don't get me wrong, like, but then I suppose if the referee says it's 3 minutes, it's a minimum of 3 minutes, it's up to his discretion if he wants to play 5 or 7 or whatever, you know. But listen, I wasn't complaining yesterday.
What did you think of him, Pascal?
Certainly not. Well, I think if anything, you know, obviously there's an issue with that at the time that was added on, but I think if, you know, you look at it even more closely, I think Monaghan should be more maybe appeased with the missed chances they had. They had goal chances. They had chances, and also to pull the game back throughout. Again, there's a lot of said about shot selection and things like that there as well. And I think them opportunities in an All-Ireland semi-final, you've got to be taking them.
Yeah.
And again, as we alluded to about the opportunities that will arise in All-Ireland final, Tyrone's got to be taken. You know, you got to be ruthless at that level. You got to be ruthless because you don't get any second chances. And I think that's where Monaghan will probably, you know, should really feel maybe aggrieved mostly, is, you know, they had the chances maybe to get their 3 pointers and didn't take them.
The Tyrone obviously their conversion rate wasn't great. Was it the case that early on they thought it was? They probably didn't think it was going to be a cakewalk, but they were probably a bit surprised in the space they were getting and the opportunities they had, that they weren't fully focused. They thought these chances would come again, or I mean, how do we assess that?
No, I think Tyrone started brilliantly. Like, first, I think that maybe 3 or 4 points after five minutes or something. You know, started real well, but it was always going to be a grinding game. It was always going to be a game where chances would go a begging and people, you know, would get turned over on the ball. Like, you have to remember, this is the 3rd time the year that these two teams have played. I mean, there's no other inside out. Like, they're meeting every year in top class games. So
most of them play together too in colleges.
Play together in colleges, you know. Like, I was reading Ryan McInnes, sure was at school with half of them in Ballagolly. Like,
he probably wishes at this stage he had chose Tyrone.
we kind of wish he had chose Tyrone too.
Matt and Richie lived with the 2 Hugheses.
Lived with the 2 Hugheses at Jordan. You know, there's no other inside out. Like, so it was always going to be that tense affair. And at stages yesterday in the second half, it looked more like neither team wanted to lose it than one of them standing up and grabbing it by the scruff of the neck and wanting to win it. And it took Petey Hart to do that with like 7-8 minutes to go.
Key score. Well, I think the disappointing thing about Tyrone's attacking play yesterday was the amount of balls they kicked into Rory Bagan's hands. You know, knowing Mickey and sharing many a dressing room with Mickey, it was one pet hate he had was do not kick it into the goalie's hands. It's giving them a restart. It's giving them a free
especially
ball.
Rory Bagan, he's going to carry it
30-40
yards.
He's a ball player, and you know, when that gives them the launch pad, and ultimately that's going to be very, very, very dangerous Yeah, in Dublin.
Yeah, and when you think, I suppose when you look at Dublin and those missed chances, you know, Dublin on Saturday, for example, Galway on the attack, you know, Dublin just turn on, bang,
Yeah,
goal.
yeah.
Do you know, so they I know everything has to go right against Dublin, but they really, really have to work on that, surely.
They will, aye. Plus two, like, you know, just back to yesterday's game, like, Monaghan probably got a lot of their matchups right. Like, Lee was nullified, Richie, I think, was withdrawn too. Harry Loughran come on, didn't really get into the game. You know, Ronan O'Neill come on, didn't really. You know, so
Ramsey probably struggled.
yeah, it was
it
was hard as a forward unit to operate yesterday. You know, and then you look at the Monaghan side, like Manzi, I think he maybe one from play, was it? Like the one player that stood out to me that was causing so much havoc from play was Kieran Hughes when he came on, because he was something different than what was on the pitch. You know, he was a serious, massive aerial threat, and they could go long to them, but it just was too little, too late.
Morgan looks on for an All-Star. Maybe you're the best man. You think?
Well, Niall's again. There's no denying the ability Niall has. You know, and I think what we've seen over the last couple of years now, Niall's starting to concentrate more on the goalkeeping side of things. Obviously, under instruction from Mickey, I'd assume, and you know, you really see the ability Niall has. You know, his kickouts. In general now, even against Donegal, bar the goal, obviously, look, these things happen. You know, I think, you know, you have to take them risks sometimes. You know, it can be costly if they don't work out. But I think generally his kickouts has come on really well. They're being lasered, they're being direct, and his set thrown off in some fantastic attacks. And also he made a great save yesterday off the ball coming off the post. Yeah. And you know how crucial them things can be. That ball's coming down, at times boys can be caught ball watching, man can sneak in behind. Niall's very alert it, and I think it was a crucial save at that
stage. The goalie making a save like that is as good as a forward.
Absolutely. It was a big bonus at that stage.
Just on the goal last week in Donegal, am I the only one that thinks that it wasn't Niall's fault at all? Hamshi stamped flat footed, he never moved to it, and you can't afford to do that with someone like Ryan McHugh who has to do it.
I've been there myself too, where you played the short kick, and obviously you've been slated for doing it. You know, if the possession game's on, well under instruction, you were to play it, and obviously, you know, if the defender stops or making, you know, his way towards the ball, then it can prove costly, you know, when it's just, I suppose, it's unfortunate, but thankfully turned around from it and went on and beat Donegal. But again, against Dublin's going to be a different kettle of fish, and you know, mistakes have to be remembered.
Yeah, just when you're chatting about Beggan and Morgan, we have a question from Nim Nicholas. Did Packie ever fancy himself to nail the freeze like Beggan and Morgan?
I think, well, distance might have been no problem, but the accuracy would need to have been worked on. The umpires might have been standing too safe where they were standing.
It depends if it was down in Newton and it was local umpires. Well,
umpire Chris Jones now might have done their favour. Yeah, it's too.
He would have been waving it over when Packie would have been setting the ball down to tee it up.
It was 2 foot wide, it's near enough, flag at a point.
Close enough. Speaking of Dublin, then Dublin 124, Galway 212. Galway disappointing. Dublin too good.
Dublin they're just going into overdrive, I think. You know. Again, Galway put up a good contest in the league, and I suppose people were anticipating another close encounter, but Dublin just seemed just this air of calmness, coolness. You know, and the options they have from the bench as well. It's just a team to just really admire and appreciate. You know,
Owen O'Gara was one of their best players. Man of the match last week. He never even got on the pitch.
I think the thing about that Dublin result on Saturday, everyone kind of expected it, but you were hoping that Galway would do something special or would, you know, put them close or whatever. But Dublin are just. I think we have to appreciate them when we have them, because we're not always going to have a team like that.
True. You know? Was it not a bit odd that and you know, teams, I know it's about possession, keeping ball, but with the hassle and the goal coming from Comer, obviously with the high ball in, you've got to effectively stop doing it after three attempts. You know, it's crazy stuff. It worked. You know, it worked twice.
I think the thing with Galway, they were probably so programmed into keeping possession and not play the percentages and not giving the ball away, that, you know, there was a fear maybe in players to kick direct, you know, and it is
surely
happening.
It's up to the players then to manage on the pitch and say, right on.
It is, but I suppose, you know, it's just that's the setup and that's the program. Like you'll hear it in club games. You know, don't give the ball away, don't take unnecessary risks,
and
and
curtail Dublin with their defensive structure and that there.
Yeah.
Dublin have really mastered. You know, people have approached Dublin games with blanket defences and stuff, but they just seem to just totally. Like the Fellingham, like the victory Donegal had them and had over them in 2014. Like it caught everybody by surprise. People were anticipating Dublin to break down the defence, and they didn't. But this team just seems so able to the pace they have. Jack McCaffrey, Paul Mannion, James McCarthy coming at pace, breaking the tackle, breaking the first man. When they fronted up with one man, well, there's no point turning back when you have one-on-one situation. You've got to break that tackle. It's different if there's three men waiting to bring into the tackle and curtail you. But they're certainly they're breaking the first line, and then getting inside, and then we know that.
And then working around.
I think the big thing they have, you know, with that much pace coming from deep, that it's so hard to sit back, and if you do get them turned, the width their forwards play with and come in the loop, like it's impossible to stop. You know, their forwards will come off the sideline in the loop. They'll get a ball into their hands. They get a shot away all within the blink of an eye. They don't need it.
Featured stood out last year in the semi-final against Tyrone was what's the
that's what I was like. Yeah.
And some of the scores they took from wide positions. You know, we know that because they have and they just played to the absolute boundaries of Croke Park and played the team.
They would play times even, especially against Tyrone last year. They would plant their two corner forwards on either sideline, and there would be no one directly in front of the goal, so it made really Collie Kavanagh redundant because he was standing in really blocking no one. And you know, if they got through, then he would have to come out, and if not, the forwards would loop round.
And you would probably think that's easy enough to combat.
So
you know, if you're forming a semicircle around that area, but it's their intricate fist passing in those areas is so good.
I think the thing is the timing of their run.
Yeah.
You know, and they very rarely take, when they're in the opposition, inside the opposition's 45, they very rarely take the wrong option. They're so good at their decision making under pressure. Like
you say about the time of their run, I think James McCarthy, the goal he scored in Oma against Tyrone's typical of that.
Yeah.
Timed the run well, and obviously when it opened up, and you know there's no better man going for the juggler, like, and that's Dublin are about, and Kane Kilkenny also. You know, they see the gap, they will go for it.
This ploy of maybe Mickey Horn may want to watch this show because I think I've picked up or something. But this Kilkenny just, you know, I think Kilkenny wasted an awful lot of energy busting himself across the half-forward line, but he picks it up and goes sideways all the time. It's clearly a diversionary tactic to take the play away and get men on the line.
We'd mentioned this last year after actually being at the semi-final when they dismantled Tyrone big time, and it looked that day as if Kieran Kilkenny was actually the only forward that was allowed to take a play on the ball, because he would get it and he'd go sideways, and even, you know, his runs off the ball would take him just directly across the 45. He would get it maybe and go back where he come from with the ball, and then, you know, when the other forwards get it, they look as if they're not allowed to take a play on the ball, and he's the orchestrator, and then there maybe be so much attention drawn to him, it's popped off to a runner, and all of a sudden you're opened up, like. So. And
he can, you know, and something he really added last year was his scoring ability. You know, he can take them too, you know.
He's just the link man between everything.
Everything. Like he's such a big cog for them. Like he's got it all. Like.
Yeah, he does.
Definitely has. So, I'll have a look at it. It's great to look forward to the 1st September. So, we'll first weekend, which has changed this year, obviously.
It's actually supposed to be the last weekend in August, but isn't it?
Yeah.
Only the Pope's
coming.
So from next year it'll be the last weekend.
He'll
be wearing red and white.
Benny Courtney sent a message in. Colin Kavanagh is playing unreal stuff at the minute. In my opinion, he is one of the reasons Tyrone got over the line. Has his firm anything to do with Sean retiring? Don't think. I think he was always
I think probably.
Sean wrote today that he was glad he showed him how to tackle on Twitter.
I think Pascal, you know, as well, like when Collie first came into the panel, he would have had a lot of critics saying that, you know, he was maybe only in at such a young age because of Sean and that, you know, but he's developed now. Like he's in the later years, he's probably been more important to Tyrone than what Sean was.
Absolutely, I think he's as pivotal to Tyrone now as Sean was in the peak of his players. And you know, obviously, two different players. Sean was attacking player in that. And Colin knows how to take a score as
Yeah,
well. You know, to be fair to him, you
yeah.
know, he got a good score yesterday, the first point of the game. And you know, defensively, you know, and also Colin's bulked up even more. You know, Colin come in, young lad,
Yeah.
a lot of physical development needed, things like that there. And I can recall Colin actually come on at the last point of the 2008 final.
Mm-hmm.
So he has that little bit of experience from then. Obviously, shed that bit of light from that onto the boys, which will be invaluable as well. But no, Colin's such an asset. You know, and obviously his tackling yesterday, that tackle on Jack McCarn at a crucial stage, and was actually falling when he made the tackle, and just the key stage. But and again, come back to this game again, Donegal. He's shown his worth to this Tyrone team, and he's just getting better and better.
He can mark a ball too in the middle of the
Yeah,
field.
like I think it's a thing. Two things out of that. It's his adaptability, because when he first came into the panel, you know, he was a young lad, an out and out forward. You know, he was half forward or corner forward, or maybe in a full forward. But he's obviously adapted, and Mickey's seen a role, and both of them have sat down, and they're absolutely getting the best out of this sweeper position.
He has to be in line for basically one of the favourites for Player of the Year.
You
I think it could be a shootout for him and Fenton maybe.
Yeah,
Absolutely, yeah. This is a good battle come the final between the two of them as well.
Yeah.
It will be.
But people chat about every county, every club tries to play these sweeper rules, or you know, men roaming back, and Colin McConnell is probably the best in the country, and people always say
unbelievable.
And it takes a
what he
serious
does.
engine to do what he does. You know,
Just
shot.
he's a great brain about it.
It
He
takes
knows.
serious discipline too, times, you know, just to get yourself back in there and get planted, you know. And
Because he's probably doing work. You know, a lot of work wouldn't be seen on cameras and TVs.
massively.
You know,
And I think
he's-
it's the big difference between Sean and Colin is Sean took a lot of abuse,
Mhm.
you know, when he was playing, and Colin had that rattliness about him.
Yeah.
Colin had, you know, like, you know, Colin wouldn't be afraid to throw back an elbow,
No.
throw back, you know, hit somebody maybe a chap when needed, you know, that way. And Sean
done
was
the 2007
played tough, he
intermediate
played
final.
fair. Colin had always that extra feistiness about him, which carried it well. Like.
He's hard as nails. Like, there was one time yesterday he came up the sideline and they were hopping off him. Like, he's just.
He took it out in the wee 5'4" boy from Trilling years ago, and
They get sent off.
he sent it off.
That made him a better player. When he learned from that.
He learned
His discipline.
He learned how to tackle after.
Anything else for us, Chip?
No, I'll be away there. I'll go through them.
Alright, Pascal, okay, so it's back to focusing you now. Tyrone Neil Stewart, obviously, so 03 to 13, then you were Tyrone 10 years, 10 glorious years, I would say.
10 good years now, yeah, it certainly was. It flew by, looking by, it flew by, it seems so long ago now, but yeah, it was good times.
What age were you going in
I was going
2003?
23.
So you were, you know, you were a man, you were well
You've
enough
been
experienced.
renowned as Finbar's brother back then.
I was known as Finbar's brother, wee brother. Yeah.
Now you're the All-Ireland as the show. But I was what, like 3 All-Irelands and...
Yeah, it was, you know, the first one, you know, before the first one I could recall even this stage, before the final 2003, I think the talk was, if we could even just win one, we'll take it. And then obviously in the back of 1-1, you know, and again driven on, no man better than Mickey himself. Look, we go again, we go for more, and I give you that hunger to go again. You know, when you're down at the top table, you want to stay there. And again, it was you know, a fantastic group of lads, and you know, obviously led by none other than Peter Canavan himself, and you know, it was certainly great memories.
Very good. And so how many finals did you play in then?
Played in two.
2.
05, sub in 03, 05, then obviously 08, I was named to start, and the unfortunate sad passing of John Devine's father on the eve of the 08 final was then had cajoled me into the starting spot then. Yeah. So yeah, it certainly put football in perspective that time, and it was a sad occasion now, but you know, it was nice to go on ahead and win it for John and his family at the time. Yeah.
I think on that, Roy, that showed, that was a measure of the man Pascal is, to get that call that late on, you know, the night before an All-Ireland final, after maybe not playing that much that year and just going in and being immense, like not putting a foot wrong the whole game, like. And
would you have been, I mean, at that stage, was there as much focus, you know, I mean, a keeper's job was maybe slightly different, you know, with the kickouts and that?
It's certainly altered. It certainly has altered. Like, even thinking back and reflecting back on that time, Stephen Cluxon wasn't renowned for his laser-like kickouts back then. He had Kieran Whelan, Shane Ryan, and them fellas in midfield to aim at. Same as James Murphy had Darragh O'Shea and the like. and Seamus Scanlon. So, but obviously Stephen worked on it, and you know he's obviously he's the keeper he is today through hard work, and obviously he's a phenomenal talent as well.
Who's your favourite go-to man then to kick it long or medium to long even?
Obviously Kevin Hughes was always a great fielder, great batter in the middle of the park. Jared Kavlin was an awesome fielder of a ball. He had such a great spring
when he turned up.
Jared didn't particularly like the training too much, but you know, and Ryan Mellon, to be fair, Ryan was a fantastic fielder of the ball. Ryan would always been sitting out at left half forward and was always an option there as well. You know, when you think of kicking the ball out, you're thinking, right, who's the midfield? But you're always looking beyond that to the half forward line. Who's your fielders? Obviously, you had Big Sean there as well. You know, was giving you a bit of pace for that option as well. And you know, certainly there was quite a few now.
You had plenty to choose from.
Just one of your old comrades threw a message in there, Owen Mulligan. Totally insulted by Mickey Hart's comments on commitment and the Monday Club. At least get it right, it was the Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday Club. We've reputations to protect here.
You were talking about that before.
Just chatting about it before. I mentioned the Tuesday Club, Muggsy, don't worry.
Heavily led by Muggsy himself. It was, but yeah, good times.
Newton Stewart have sent a message in too. Seeing the big man lifting Sam made the Newton faithful proud and honoured he's one of our own. Kevin Midlin, Malachy will be in charge. He's developed some team into the best players in the country, and he's utilising the players that Banty grew. Also good youth coming through, so the future is still bright for Monaghan football.
Absolutely.
But tell us more about these Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday clubs.
Yeah.
So was it, I mean, reading Muggsy's book and Cannon's book and that, there was always a way to get away from the crowd and enjoy yourselves.
Absolutely, we would have seen, I suppose, team building exercises.
Would you head somewhere? Would you have picked a town to go to?
Yeah, Mugsy would have maybe just went to his local Cookstown, where he's making my way to the training ground at Mid Ulster Arena there in the county, and knowing Mugsy was down in one of those local establishments.
See, Muggsy had a thing back then where he was working in Dublin. So it was quite often that he couldn't get home from work.
Absolutely, yeah. He got stranded. I think it was Monaster Boyce a couple of times. So I suppose there's not many sat navs around that time. So
we seen a video then yesterday from the change room actually, and Callum McCarn held it up. And she just I suppose on that, and Callum McCarn, God, like, I mean, that's a massive loss. Has been a massive loss for Tyrone, you know, and it must be hard to sit and watch too.
It certainly is. Like in Cal, I suppose, you know, his input will be crucial as well. Cal was there in 2008. So again, another man to shed a bit of light on the experience and that, which would be key there as well. Certainly, it's an unfortunate injury. You know, Cal's been a loyal servant to the county as well and been playing well, and obviously, you know, he's a regular starter as well. So yeah, it's heartbreaking, you know, to miss out on the Ireland final day, you know, and certainly your heart goes out to him. You know, it's the pinnacle of everybody's career, and you want to be involved in it.
Most definitely. What about opposition ways passing? Who's the best goal getter that you faced?
Best goal getter? Well, I think Benny Coulter has to be in there.
Right.
Benny just was again a phenomenal player, a threat. No matter where Benny had the ball, Benny was a threat, and close to the goal, he certainly, you know, he knew where the net was, and was one of my most difficult opponents. Benny was strong, fantastic footballer, fielder. You know, and he had a great knack even one-on-one situations. I don't know how many goals he got, even fisted goals, by beating his man, beating the goalkeeper. Another man just with a great technical ability, great spring, and his eye for goal. Now, certainly when you're playing down, you're in a game, especially when Benny was there, he was always a threat.
Okay. And then I suppose that Kerry team, you know, the Kerry team who played against me, the Gooch and Mike Frank and those boys.
The Gooch was, you know, a phenomenal player, like, and you know, could just turn it sixpence either foot. And it took your best man to mark him. Yeah. Obviously, our go-to man was Ricey, I think, in 05, Connor in 2008, and done very well on him, you know, to be fair. And obviously, you had the aerial threat of Big Keir on the square. I think that was always your greatest challenge too, was Keir none who possessed that. You know, you had a man sitting there, was fit to look you in the eye, you know, physically imposing, could take a goal by the foot or by the fist. Great man of winning, primary ball, laying it off. And yeah, it was certainly a big challenge now when you're faced again him now. So it was.
Okay. Your thoughts on Jared O'Kane?
Jared, fantastic footballer, even better drinker from our time with the Railway Cup squad and the provincial tournament. The final was held over in London. Don't appreciate him removing the older brother now, but I'll have to have a word with them.
These boys don't understand the presence from where it was. You see,
I suppose it's the Tyrone Derry rivalry still shining through. But we'll be there in come the 2nd of September to greet the Derry team. I'm sure Joe Brawley will get quite a rapturous reception. We all love Joe and Tyrone, so. Yeah, we're looking forward to that.
Alright, okay, and Pascal remembers that you're taking his brother off, so he'll have to get. Do you see any this current Tyrone team that we went through them, but are there similarities with 03, 05, possibly 08, in the build up, in the reputation and who they're facing, or is it unique?
I think it's pretty unique. It's just it's a whole new squad. There's and everybody. And I think the unfair thing that these boys have had to put up with over the last number of years was being compared.
Yeah.
I think it was very unfair. When you see people saying that the likes of such and such wasn't as good as Duher, wasn't as good as Stevie O'Neill, or wasn't as good as Kennel. I think that's very unfair because every player is unique, and they bring their own set of qualities to this team. And I think the sum of the parts, is coming together, and this is a real team effort. The Tyrone team, and has been all year, and and it's something. I never liked people comparing any players to. Everybody's different. We're our own team. This team's new, and they're going to look to do it their own way. Yeah. And I suppose 10 years. We would never thought it maybe take 10 years for Tyrone team to go to Northern Ireland final stage. But I think reflecting back on some that did comment, the people talking about it and stuff, why it maybe took so long. And my own opinion, my own honest assessment, I think Mickey was maybe too loyal to some of us.
Okay.
Too loyal that, Mickey thought that maybe there was another year left and some of us, and a lot of the boys were still playing great football and things like that, but when it come to 2011, I can recall the game against Dublin, and Dublin beat us very convincingly in Croke Park, and I think that was, some has sauntered on. I thought after 2010, there should have been more changes and just given a bigger chance and a bigger say and more game time. Mickey, obviously you're thankful to time when you're putting the effort to reward you with game time and start you, but I think reflecting in hindsight's a wonderful thing. I think maybe loyalty is too loyal to some of us, and
I suppose probably in fairness to Mickey, there was that loyalty because we used to always say when Tyrone would have got, even them teams, when Tyrone would have got to the heat of battle, there was only about 19 players or 20 Mickey was going to use. He had his 4 or 5 subs that he knew exactly what he was going to get with them, and they brought the county massive success. And there was probably players maybe lost. There was generations of players lost that didn't get the football that maybe could have or maybe should have. But in fairness to Mickey, the boys have been tried and tested and won 3 All-Irelands, and so you can understand his loyalty.
So are you talking about, when you look back at perhaps the like of Coney,
I'd even go back further than that, and I go back to Remy Mulgrew. To me, Remy Mulgrew was one of the most talented. I was blown away when Remy, I think it was his first year, was maybe in 04 when he came in. I was blown away by him. He was only just out of minor. He was just.
I think
he was just
an All-Star nominee in 2007. He had a fantastic game with Tyrone, in an eye for goal, and could split a pass. They were calling, when he was compared to Brian McGuigan to a large extent because he was that. He was a ball winner. He was fit to thread a pass. And seen passes before anybody else.
He was absolutely
phenomenal talent. And
so did these boys not get? Because I remember going to watch Tyrone maybe 5-6 years ago, and seeing a Coney and the younger McGuigan and these boys, Darcy Cup or a couple of boys from Ireland or Clonaux, and they did get their chance, but did they not get their chance long enough? Is that what
I think even say from not Remy Mulgrew was completely different level than when I was, but it used to be, Pascal, you might get a game, and if you done well, you'd got to start the next day maybe, and whatever it would be, and then if you didn't, you had to be unbelievable every day, because if you weren't, you were back to 34, and that was really your chance going to next year, because Mickey didn't play challenge games. It was then maybe in-house games.
Big emphasis on in-house
games and that,
could have decided a position between 2 men on how they played in that in-house game. And they were ferocious games as well, and they were dog-eat-dogger a couple of times. Stephen O'Neill and Peter Donnelly standing up to each other one time and clamoring. Punches feisty, there's so much at stake. They were starting to the stake, and boys wanted to be there, wanted to be involved, and Tyrone were going so well. And and I think nobody wants to see anybody falling out, but I think it bode well in terms of how unified we were. You know, how determined, how driven we were too. You know,
No, you had to remember there's that success, but then you've maybe the 15 that start, and you've got maybe another 20 boys vying for the togging out positions, and then you've them boys that's in the togging out positions vying to get game time. So it was all about getting yourself one step up the ladder, and if you had to be treacherous or ruthless in an in-house game to do that, you were going to do it. Like,
you had to be selfish.
You did. And Ricey in in-house games, Ricey was the exact same in in-house games as he was in championship games. Like, Ricey would have lifted you and took you to training, and then during the game tell you all about your mother, and then get into the car and drive you home and drop you off. Honestly, like, I remember up in Clitheroe refereeing a game, and I think Ricey had to be taken off because he was tramping down the back of me, and you know, we were at other, like, head for head, like, and it was just because I was trying to get up the panel, and you know, Ricey, a respected man, but he wasn't going to let some young buck try and come in and make a name for himself over him. Like, so it was, the in-house games were they were ferocious. Like, they were.
We might try and get into we try and sneak into a couple of training sessions.
I don't think you're allowed into them now.
Funny that one of the training sessions that stands out in my mind was Tyrone playing Dublin in 2008 before that real wet quarter final, and the Sunday game pundits would give their predictions in the game the week before it, or 2 weeks before it, and Tyrone beat Mayo, I think, by a point. Didn't win too convincingly. You know, gained plenty of work on stuff, and the Sunday game panellists were writing Tyrone off at all quarters, but I can remember Mickey had taped what they said on a little dictaphone and had played it in the huddle before training. So we were training in the Mid-Ulster Arena, and it was a case of we were playing a 3-on-3 and you shot against the goalkeepers in a confined space, and I remember PJ Quinn, I think, was split right across the eye. There was no whistle going for freeze, it was just hell for leather, and it's a training session that a lot of us would reflect on, going, that one Ulster learned that year, because, and Jesus off the Dublin game, it's the training session that beat Dublin. There was men being carried off, there was a queue, there was a queue for the physiotherapists afterwards. Team doctor was also needed, and it was training sessions like that, and you know, when we things like that spring to mind, especially now when you're facing Dublin all Ireland final, and you know, you look back and you get a giggle and you get a laugh about the way things went back then, and you know, men being carried off the training field and stuff, and you know, again, that was all part and parcel of.
But I think that's a mighty insight into the next few weeks, and people listening going, "Oh, well, how long?"
Even on that, there's another man, PJ Quinn. Like, I think Muggsy christened him the Shadow. You know, he used to mark him in in-house games because Muggsy used to say, "Sure, I may as well not be playing," because PJ just wouldn't. Whatever had, PJ had Muggsy's number. Like, he had it the cut, so he christened him the Shadow.
Was a big addition.
But like Mickey, even in them in-house games, I remember playing one in Errigal Ballygolly, in Errigal Kieran's place, and I think it was 05, 06. Tyrone were playing Galway in the All-Ireland quarter final, and like Mickey would have you wearing, I think the second team wore Clogher jerseys because it was the same colour as Galway, and he would have changed the team. I think I was playing at number 11 because it might have been Michael Donnellan was playing at 11 that had a bit of pace, and Shane Sweeney, so he was trying to direct up like for like, and Mickey would, you know, you'd be in the B team, Mickey would be saying, right, when Michael Donnellan gets the ball, he does this, so when you get the ball out here today, I want you trying to commit him, you know. So even then, like, he was,
again, the detail was
it was just unbelievable.
Right thrown off your pardon. Okay, like, on to the legend, or Jim, if you a couple
of things. We have a message from Conor Doherty here. He says, tell Big Packie we want him up for a goalkeeping session at the Gales training. Tell him he owes me that for all the PE homework he did for him and the brothers.
He's taking our team at the moment, so we might get you up.
Yeah, Conor's making a way.
So I think when you see the goalkeeper who gives Wiley a hand out of coach, and you might turn and go back.
He was my driver yesterday.
Oh, he's your driver yesterday.
The wedding Saturday, so he was my driver yesterday.
Also, almost give a wee mention to the fantasy football, although I shouldn't really because I'm sitting last in it.
How can you, lad, hang on, ask this.
Transfers are
how can you be last when I haven't looked at it from there the day I put the team in?
I haven't looked at it too often either. That's my excuse anyway. Michael O'Callaghan's leading it anyway. John McCall is in second. That's John over in Australia at the minute. Emmett Bradley third. So
who's the top
Gaelic Weekly
representative?
Marty is 21st, Wiley's 28th, Raf is
30th.
31st.
Oh, Jesus, boys.
I don't know where you're off. I haven't got a key potty or
10th.
I get
10th.
Oh, so I'm ahead of Marty. I thought it was up there.
Not too bad, yeah.
Jim, but
Anyway.
honestly, but how can you be last when nobody's looked at it? You know,
Sure, he refused to take Lee out of the team for the 2 months he was injured there.
And a big shimmy on for a while too, and he bloody wasn't playing at the start too.
Anyway, on the legends board, Jim, do you want to grab it there? So Pascal, you're gonna.
Hey,
as the
wait.
rules go, you
Well,
get.
he's some legend, now. He's comparing himself to Michael Donovan, isn't he?
he's my favourite player of all time. He's my favourite player of all time. No, but that was an insight. Like Mickey would have done that all the time. Like even before, I'm sure he's played Kerry. He used to take big men in, put them on the edge of the square.
Yeah, the gooch.
Okay, so it's been a while. So at number 1 we have Peter Canavan, 2 Brian Dooher, 3 the Black Gormley, 4 Barry Owens, 5 Mickey Linden, 6 Sean Kavanagh, 7 Big Anthony Toll from Derry, 8 Ashley McConville, 9 who you're talking about, Pascal Benny Coulter, and 10 at the bottom there's another from Anaman, that's PT Tracy. His photos in black and white.
TP or PT?
Because he played when it was black and white. Yeah,
Still plays indoor soccer now.
I actually seen a program that Tom Brewster found in the house last week where his dad got arrested was playing from midfield and against was it Longford? And PT Tracy was lined out, but he actually was playing his club football for Downpatrick, so I don't know if Marty ever informs that. But anyway, Pascal, so you're going to put somebody on, you're going to take somebody off, and then you can rejig the order when you're done. But tell us who you're going to put on and why, I suppose.
It was the player I'm going to put on is none other than Stephen O'Neill. Just immense in every way, and you know the qualities the man possessed. You know, especially the 2005 year when he was named Player of the Year, he was putting balls over from all angles. You know, and Stephen was predominantly very left-footed when he started out at senior county level. Stephen worked so much on the right foot and that there, and worked so hard in this game, but you know, pulled us out of many tight spots, and especially again reflecting back to significant time too was before the last Ireland final in 08 when the team were brought together to deliberate over, you know, the chance of Stevie come back into the squad again. You know, and you could understand some boys that maybe had some qualms about it, maybe it would affect them getting game time, things like that there, but unanimous verdict. You know, I think none other than Muggsy himself stepped up and says, look, it's Stephen O'Neill we're talking about here, and you know, it was get him on board, he's one of us, and it was great to get him back and involved, and an absolute stalwart for Tyrone.
Well, he was. I was at a wedding last week, and he's now taking up public speaking because he was best man, and his speech was absolutely fantastic. But when he came down to congratulate him, his wife then said, "We were all cheering for man in the Ulster final," and he said, "I wasn't." This is why not. He goes, "I'll never forget 04. He says, when you beat Armagh, he says, and you jumped for joy when they beat us after. He goes, I'll never forget that."
Stevie.
Yeah.
So the element never forgets. But so Stevie's going on then, and I think was it Dom took him off? Was it Dom? Was it Paddy? Was it Dom Carrigan took him off? Manager Kelly Clowder. So
he took you off, so he took you off in a couple of games, so he can't judge a player. He can't judge a player.
You're right, matey.
I was chatting up with Fan of Asker a few weeks ago, and they played Clonagale, and he was saying the best player in the field was Stevie O'Neill. Still.
Oh, listen,
Still
I know even the year that he played in a few in-house games at Tyrone, like, and Peter said he was still, you know, taking the hand of the boys.
Yeah. As well, we went solo down and look, I fell victim to it myself in a club game, and I just walked it under the goals and just showed the talent the man possessed.
When I used to be on his team, I'd fall victim for it too.
Yeah, fantastic fella and fantastic footballer.
Okay, so Pascal, big decision then. Who's coming off, and then you can rejig and whatever for.
Yeah, I daren't touch the Fermanagh man. I want to get home. I want to get home and safe tonight.
Well, maybe first, where do you want to put Stevie in? And it's not to say that you're taking whoever you replace off, but you can rejig the order. I mean, what number is you?
And the same, I suppose. I like the same and along Peter Canavan there. Obviously, Dooher would have played just behind them there, so maybe take a little shape from the times we were playing. Yeah.
Grand.
And
so who do you want to take off now then?
I'll take off. I'm not.
It's a good board.
It's a good board. Good board.
Be ruthless, packet.
Gotta be ruthless. So
no friends in here,
no
Just
friends.
you on.
I get my own back in the dairy, man. I'll have to take Big Anthony, who absolute stalwart. But I get my own back and
you have to stick for tactical voting now. Like,
You know he's not far from Derry.
I
Like.
promise I'll cheer from him in Croke Park on the 2nd of September. No, again a fantastic team, the 93 team, and
Do her 7 now though.
Well, no, you can reject it now if you want.
yeah, I'll bring to her there. Just I'll put Barry Owens been more accustomed to the back line there. So,
Put him down.
yeah,
Big bad Barry.
and,
2-time All-Star.
yeah. So that's more of a team I've used to do her there, just behind Peter and Stevie.
Big Sean coming late.
What about Benny? You alright there?
Benny, yeah. Yeah, Benny be just
One of your former teammates there now.
Absolutely, well back for the goals. Benny, there's enough nightmares from Benny Coulter over the years. So,
Like me, you didn't think of putting Wiley on it, no?
Wiley,
Well, we're not allowed to be on it. That's
But the Gales jersey or the New York jersey or the...
yeah,
Fintony jersey.
he went it for Mana, so.
Or the Fintony jersey.
Congratulations to Clogher, by the way, on
Yeah.
winning
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Division
see that.
3. Good to see them.
It's the first time they've won it, is it?
I think it's the first time they've been up and
Knocking on the door this last couple of years, good Dublin
there used
coming
to
young
be-
side.
Yeah,
We
lot of
played
work,
them
lot of workers went in
yeah,
up there.
we drew with them the year now, but they're a fantastic young side. And, yeah, fair play. They've done really well.
And what about Ardie Kieran, 1-2 reserve champions
Yeah, Friday night. Seen that?
Unreal.
Yeah.
And they had, on one of the sides, they had 2 All-Ireland winners on the bench, I think, in Kieran McGinley and Mark Hart, and John Devine was possibly starting in goals. Is that right?
He was starting goals, yeah.
Unbelievable.
No,
Yeah,
Just goes to show you.
who's who.
Big result, big shock in Cavan there at the weekend, Wiley.
Cavan Gales, I can be Gary beat them in the first round. Our good friend of the show, Gio, over Cavan Gales. But they've got the way they do it in Cavan. There's 4 first round games, and it's then on a league basis. The top 8 teams after 4 games all go through to the quarterfinals. So they've got Castlerahan on Friday night.
Another
So
tough one.
another tough one, but
Castlerahan lost a couple of finals in the last few years.
they lost last year till Cavan Gales in the final, but I know that the Gales boys are chomping at the bit at the minute to get back out again on Friday night to right the wrongs. They didn't perform at all at the weekend. They scored 9 in the trot and got back in the lead, and then give away a bad goal at the very end to catch them. So, but they'll take beating in Cavan now, in fairness.
And then I suppose that club scene for Mana Championship starts this week as well,
Yeah,
with the next
good.
2 weekends.
Good.
Obviously the big one is Darraghan or Slay. Darraghan are playing a lot of big challenge games by all accounts, so they're taking it very seriously.
They're playing a lot of big challenge games, but I think they're tapering it down a bit now this week with a couple of handy challenge games they have this week. So no, listen. You would on paper it'd be hard to look past Derry Gonley again now, but you never know.
No,
Yeah.
and of course Tyrone, we have to wait and see.
It's going to be a delay, God knows now.
I think the tasty game in Fermanagh this weekend is the Gales and Kinnally. I think it's going to be the Gales really up and coming, a lot of work going in again, and Kinnally who's been going really well in Division 1, so it's gonna be interesting.
Will it be?
Yeah.
Will it be? Go on ahead, Jim.
Kieran, a good old loyal servant, Kieran O'Doherty.
Covering it from Croke Park yesterday. Did you
Was it?
see Kieran?
Sport.
Cox Sport.
I seen him photos up with Brian McAniff and Cuthbert Donnelly yesterday or the other day. He met them in
Ulster
Dublin.
legends.
Yeah.
Malachy O'Rourke has proven to be a good manager wherever he's went, club and county. With this new structure, the so-called Super 8s, anything is possible. So, don't know what he means. Is he staying or going, Doc?
Anything is possible, he said.
You wouldn't know. I think he'd stay, Just going by chatting a few months, I don't know.
It's a
Seems to
big,
be
I
the
mean,
big-
look, I know it's the elephant in the room nobody talks about, but the expenses and the money you get for taking teams. I mean, look, I'm sure when you're taking Monaghan, it's a pretty penny, but it's still an awful lot of work. Like, it's essentially 2 jobs.
Yeah, maybe the thing, like Malachy you get a job anywhere. So maybe is there another challenge I suppose it's how things settle down for Malachy. Did yesterday give him enough drive to come back next year and try and get Monaghan to that All-Ireland final, or has he walked away thinking I've done everything I can, I've brought this team enough? But I'm sure whatever he decides to do, he'll be involved somewhere next year, whether it's with Monaghan or.
Do you think so?
Or not. I think so. Yeah, I think he's just he's one of them men that needs the game, and the game need him. Like, and there's no coincidence wherever he's been, there's success has followed. Like,
There's a few people questioning the whereabouts of Marty they need as well.
Marty, sure. Where is Marty? I think
Marty's been hiding because Tyrone won.
He's full focus on
Absolutely
Timor on
devastated.
Saturday. He's fully focused on Timor on Saturday. But yes, you say a lot of men can't leave the game behind, and I think there was a recent challenge games for over 40s in Irvinstown there in the Lady of the Lake Festival, and a former Tyrone legend made a overstretch for a ball and pulled the hammer jib. Was there any?
No, that boy, aye.
Any truth?
You were playing that day too, sure?
It was
You saved the
football,
penalty?
yeah.
Oh, you up that day,
Yeah,
Preston?
yeah, I think I broke a crossbar. You know, when you quit football now, you gain them like extra pounds and actually jump to try and peer one above the bar, and I think the crossbar is still up from the 95. Whenever thrown just a bit.
Oh,
late for us.
yeah.
And I think obviously you know the way the our weather is over here and that there, the wood's taking quite a battering. It didn't need someone with 17 stone coming down on it. So there was a bit of a loud crack which didn't sound too good. So apologies if the crossbar ever falls.
But you enjoyed it.
And it was a good occasion, obviously, you know, for charity and stuff, and that's the only stuff I'd kind of be involved in now is the charity game. You enjoy it. Look, it's nice to get out kicking the ball, and you know, whenever you're fit and healthy enough to do it. And yeah, it was a good occasion that night.
Everybody still hobbling about Sways from us.
Everybody still hobbling.
It's all booked. We'll have something left, I guess.
Oh, not at all, no.
I mind him telling me one time I was over Fintna, and I said to him I was only about 16, and I said to him about having a hamstring problem. He was like, a what? I says, hamstring? Where's that? I says, there. And he goes, I never had a hamstring problem. I often had a pain in the hock of my leg. But
Back up.
that was it, come back to Holland.
And you're 80 we'll never go with that.
No, first hamstring injury, 60 years
Still hard as nails.
Great job.
Alright.
Still hard.
Come here, that's it. Boys, look, Pastor, thanks very much for coming up.
Thanks for having me.
There's a wee bottle of vino you can enjoy and bring home to the good lady.
I'll be sleeping in
All
the
right.
car tonight.
And look, thanks for coming up.
No worries.
Best luck with your future endeavours, and hopefully look, we'll be cheering Tyrone on from here anyway in,
No bother.
in a couple of weeks, and hopefully you'll do the business, you know.
Hopefully so.
Boys, we'll see you again next week.
Yep.
Jim, we want to now, I tell you, inside this Tyrone camp, we want serious Jim news over the next
The
couple
Jim
of
news
weeks.
has dropped away.
It's really dropped away.
Too good a social life now, you see.
No, he did say to us, in fairness, he did say to us about 3 weeks ago that Lee was, when we asked him, he said Lee was fit, playing away, and we said, was he match fit? But he's fit enough.
Yeah, but he
That's
also
probably right.
he also told us, I'll not say who it was, but he said a certain individual was out for the Donegal game. And I was sitting in Italy. I was sitting in Italy and
I was shocked myself. I was
telling
shocked
everyone,
myself.
oh, that man's out, that man's out. And then the next thing I'm like, good man.
You have to spread a bit of news to make your heart, you know, make your heart goes on the way. Get something
The
going.
anything he says is the pinch of Jim.
Yeah.
Alright, no matter. Alright, folks, look, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for Pascal coming down and the boys joining us as always. Look, we'll be back next week. There'll be the big build up to the All Ireland final, of course, and we'll be looking at some club games going on around the province. So, look, along YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook this week. Make sure to share your thoughts, your opinion matters, and we'll see you next Monday. Good night.